Welcome to truepokerdealer.com. My name is Mark Shumsker and you're in for a treat right now. We're teaching you how to do a bank fill. That's right, a treat. This is not something that's normally shown in poker dealer schools. Basically, what happens when you're low on chips and you've got to keep your game going, you got a bunch of cash, you're going to have to give someone the cash and you're going to have to get chips, and there's procedure and everyone just watches and waits for you when it happens. Well, we're going to go through the whole process and teach you how to do it. This is a little bit more advanced. If you're still learning how to deal, focus on that stuff first, because if you need to, you could learn this in the casino itself. But either way, we're doing it so that you can see how it's done. Here we go. In between hands right now. Looks like 640. Sometimes you might request what you want to get. We're going to pretend 5, 6, 20, 20, and 640. Deal a hand. Hands over. Chips come back. Now while the chips are coming back, set myself up a little bit. Excellent. Chips are here. Largest denomination stack, the short stack. Next largest denomination, short stack. Get them all ready to go. Break down one of the large stack. Remember, break down largest denomination. Prove them all. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 40. I like it. Let them get out of here. Get it in the bank as quickly as possible. Notice I'm just kind of throwing it in. It's time to fill this bank up with some chips. So we're going to pretend for a moment that we're in between hands. In between hands is the standard time to do a fill. It's either the standard time to get the money to the chip runner or whoever's getting the fill, or the standard time to receive the chips. Some places will allow you to do it during the hand. For right now, just ignore that, and if your place allows that, then you can do what they allow. So what I do, again, this is in between hands. I put my deck out of the way and a little bit protected. I take my money out and I display it very similarly to a buy-in. Starting on the left side, breaking it all down. Now in this case, I'm going to count it out loud pretty much, 100, 200, 280, because I want to know how much it is and the person receiving the money wants to know how much it is. Next, I scoop all that money up. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to have the person reach over your bank and block the tray from surveillance. And you also don't want to have them take it out of your hand and have anything fishy go on. So you just put it right over here. Now, they've seen how much there is for the fill. So what they're going to do is they're going to represent that amount with some lammers that they put right here that's going to denote the amount. Now, in this case, we have lammers that don't actually denote the amount, but just pretend that this was 100, 100, 20, 20, 20, 20. And what you would want to do is you want to leave that displayed for surveillance during the entire time that the money is off the table. And then that individual who's doing the fill can take that money off the table. And after that's done, you're okay to deal. You deal for a little bit, and whenever they come back, they're going to come back with chips. They're going to go to the cashier. They're going to get chips for the table. When they come back, at that point, you don't deal the hand that's after that. You obviously finish whatever hand you're on, and it'll be the same thing. You take your cards, you put them over here. Some places may say you can leave the cards anywhere. Some places may say you leave them in the bank. To me, it's fine to just leave them right here. They're out of the way. You don't want to leave them on the right because you've got stuff going on there, but on the left is fine. So now they're going to put the chips on the table. Again, this is a little bit later, maybe a hand or so later. And here's what happens. Now, you want to get these chips into your bank as quickly as possible with procedures. And believe it or not, when you learn the procedures, it becomes quicker than if you're kind of trying to figure it out as you go and you come up with your own methods. It's almost always quicker to learn the procedures. So here's what you do. The first thing that you do is you separate the stacks if there's more than one. The next thing that you do is you set up the short stacks. Now for a fill, the short stacks are going to go on your right. Normally this is your outgoing side of your tray, but short stacks go here because during a fill there can't be any money going out. Your full stacks are going to go on your left. So the first thing that you do is by largest denomination first, you splash the short stack. The next thing you do is you splash the next short stack. So now I've got a couple of short stacks set up. Now, what I want to do next is display my full stacks in an appropriate manner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply pick them up. I've got largest denomination closer to me with a little bit of space, and then my next largest denomination a little bit beyond it. And now I could do one of two things. I could take this whole full rack and just dump it on its side and pull it out just like that, and I've got them all lined up and ready to go. That's a pretty quick way to do it. And notice the direction they're going. They can be going that direction if you'd like. Or I could do something slightly different, and I'll just put these back in to demonstrate it. This is going to be up to you which way you do it, and there may even be other methods that your supervisors tell you to do. Another way that's pretty common is where you just take from the outside and you just push these chips together from the outside just like this. And if you're going to do it this way, I recommend leaving it in a separate stack once you get to 520 stacks, because that is the casino standard. And whichever way you do it is fine. Now what you have to do is you have to break down one of these full stacks. And here's what I would do. Now if this was attached over here, you could pull it away to break it down. It doesn't have to stay where it is, it's fine. But I'm breaking down this stack, I'm picking the stack back up. You always want to break down the largest denomination that you can. And then the next thing you do is you slide it next to the other stacks and prove it with the back of your middle fingernail. Back of your middle fingernail. That's ensuring that all of these are 20 stacks. Again, you can do it right over here like that. Now the next thing that you do is you count the chips. Now you may already have counted them because sometimes you can count them as they're coming in. But just for the sake of going through it, we're going to count them right now. I've got 100, I've got 200, I've got 220, 270, 280. And that matches with the amount that I had here. Remember, 100, 100, 20, 20, 20, 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack all this up, put it in the rack, and allow the poor person who's back there waiting to get the empty racks a chance to leave while I put this into the tray. Now, you want to get this into the tray as quickly as possible. Notice here how I've got all of these short stacks broken down. Well, what I should have done was while I had this fill coming, simply gotten it ready. It's one of the few times that you want to get your short stacks to be unclear because you know you've got a fill coming. And now it's time to get the money in there. Well, here's the best way to do it. First, you never want to touch two hands to the same chip or chip stack. And so one great way to avoid that is to have one hand always being the one to pick up the chips and the other hand always being the one to put the lammers into the bank or the spacers, depending on what you say when you refer to them. So I'll show you right now. Pick these up, drop it in. Pick these up, drop it in. Pick up a full stack, drop it in. Now I know this bank, so I know what it is that I'm going to be doing already for the arrangement of the chips. You might want to think about that ahead of time. And here I am. I know that I need to go like this, and I know that I need to go like this. This is just the only way that I can fit this into this bank in a neat and organized fashion. And sometimes you'll see this in poker. Now, some people might say, well, what about lammering these off in fives? Most of the time you'll do that, and it would look like this. Most of the time, though, when you've got 10 stacks, meaning chips of 10 in them, up above full stacks, people are going to know that it's a 10 stack there if you put a lammer on top of it. But just for the completeness of it, I'll demonstrate it this way as well. Make sure after you come out of your tray, you're clearing your hands as well. And now with that quick repetition, we've gone through and we've procedurally had a fill go into the bank. And if you were to do it without all the explaining, it would go pretty quickly. It's just boom, 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 boom. Remember to roll the chips so that you have them in the same hand. Allow me to demonstrate that one more time. We showed that in the chip handling video, but if I've got this here, I roll the stack toward myself and put it in. Or if you wanted to, you could roll it away. Or you could grab it like this and put it in. Whichever way you choose to do it. Remember though, don't go hand to hand. Always one hand right into the tray. Well, that's really all there is to it. There's a lot of procedure, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. One thing I do want you to think about, there are so many dealers that I've seen that make mistakes during fills. Now, most of the time when they make those mistakes, they're either accepting the wrong amount, they're giving the wrong amount, and their bank ends up being wrong. And as a result of the way that they do the cash or the way that they do the chips, if they do it incorrectly, they get in trouble for it. I've seen it happen time and time again. So pay attention to the procedure especially, and by the time you get used to it, you should be fine. My name's Mark Shumsker, and this has been truepokerdealer.com.